Chapter 29, Back to the City. Diana arrives back at the precinct. She opens the door for Apollo and allows Jackson Tate to come inside. Freya, however, is left locked in the back of the car, kicking and screaming. All eyes fall on Diana when she makes her entrance. Oscar sees her first. "Where the fuck have you been?" he demands. Diana wasn't expecting this type of greeting. "I was apprehending a suspect." "Where exactly?" Diana thinks. "I'm not exactly sure. Somewhere in Napa." "That's a little out of our jurisdiction. Why did the Napa police not make the arrest?" Oscar looks at Apollo and Jackson. "And who exactly are these two people?" "That's Apollo. He was the intended victim of the John Doe we can't identify. This is Jackson." "Tate," Jackson finishes her sentence, sensing she is struggling. Oscar is obviously pissed off. "Who?" "I was a hostage," Jackson explains, bending the truth just a bit. "I've got so many questions for you, Diana. You do know we don't just drive off whenever we like. There are procedures we have to follow." Diana stands up for herself and does it quite well. "I thought our job was catching criminals." Oscar is incensed. "Were it up to me, Diana, I'd fire you this minute. But sadly, we have to take this up with the captain." "Don't you want to see the suspect?" Oscar is speechless. "Where is he?" "She. And she's in the squad car outside." "Tell me you at least read her Miranda." Diana stammers. Oscar is appalled. "I'm not sure how many laws you've broken. You didn't advise her she could remain silent. You didn't advise her of her right to an attorney. Fuck. You've committed what amounts to kidnapping. And where did you get the squad car? Should we add grand theft auto to your charges?" "She confessed. She had a weapon and admitted to the crime. What else was I supposed to do? Set her free?" "You were supposed to follow the law. Any lawyer will be able to spring her. Probably sue the department as well. Didn't exactly think this one through, did you?" Diana is livid. "Don't you at least want to interview her?" Oscar cannot contain his anger. "There's going to be an interview, all right, between you and the captain. Now set that suspect free, and we'll hope for the best." Diana waits alone in the captain's office for what seems like an eternity. Through the glass, she can see that a very animated Oscar has cornered the captain. She only hears bits and pieces of the conversation, not enough to gauge what is going on between the two of them. Other officers have surrounded the conversation. They cast disapproving glances through the office window toward Diana. Finally, it seems the captain has heard enough. He leaves the discussion and enters his office. Diana doesn't know whether to be relieved to see him or not. "Seems like you've been on quite the adventure, Miss Nemo," Captain says. "Not one I approve of, I might add." Captain Adams is a 25-year veteran of the SFPD. He'd seen his share of cops going rogue, but nothing quite like this. Typically, the rogue officers were the undercovers, those who dug into their assignments so deeply that there was a seismic reality shift. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine one of his trusted detectives would perform such an action. "Would you like to explain yourself?" "I just wanted to bring a shooter to justice." Adams runs his hands through what was left of his rapidly graying hair. He smiles sadly, eliciting crow's feet near his brown eyes. "You do realize how many laws you've broken, don't you?" "I'm beginning to see that." "I'm curious. How did you know where the suspect would be?" Diana is silent for several seconds. She couldn't let it slip that she conducted her own investigation of Jackson Tate, and that's what led her to Napa. "Just a hunch," she finally answers. "A hunch," Captain Adams repeats in disbelief. "A hunch that took you all the way to Calistoga? I don't know whether or not to be impressed. Still, you broke so many jurisdictional and procedural laws, my hands are tied. I'm going to have to ask for your badge and gun. I hope you understand." Diana's aghast. "You're releasing me from the force?" "For now, it's called suspension pending investigation. But to be honest, this isn't going to play out well for you. I'm afraid that your days with the SFPD are over. It's a shame, really. You were such a good detective, loaded with potential." Diana realizes there is little point in arguing. She slides her badge across the table and passes her gun over as well. She gets up to leave. "Actually, I need all your weapons. I'm betting there's another gun strapped to your ankle." Diana complies. As she leaves the office, all conversation comes to a halt. It is eerily silent. It's not until she reaches the lobby that she hears the muffled whispers. Apollo, Jackson, and now Freya wait for her, sitting on the most uncomfortable benches the city has to offer. They leap to greet her. Freya has words for her. "I take it I'm not going to prison?" "Doesn't look like it. For now, anyway," Diana replies. Freya seems satisfied with this response. "So what should we do now?" "Drink. Heavily." "I know a place near here," Apollo says. "Coyote took me there." "And you want to go back?" Freya says incredulously. "That Coyote friend of yours tried to kill you. Twice." "Exactly," Apollo says. "It might be refreshing to find out why." "Well, count me out," Jackson says. "I need to go home, shower, and see if my office is being searched. By the way, Apollo, did you figure out any of the instruments in the music room?" "Why, yes. All of them. Can't say I was very interested in the drums." "No worries there. Drummers are a dime a dozen. But you can play guitar. How about the longer guitar, the bass?" "That was easy as well. The big thing with the white and black keys took some time, but I got the hang of it." "Did you learn any of the songs I laid out for you to listen to?" "I really like the one that starts with a modern day warrior." Jackson is astounded. "You learned to play Tom Sawyer? That's pretty advanced stuff." "Wasn't terribly difficult. Just a different algorithm." "It takes people years to play that song. And even then, they play it badly. Listen, I don't want to push my luck here, but you didn't happen to write any original songs, did you?" 37 of them. Jackson smiles. If he can pry Apollo away from the psycho bitches, he's got a winner on his hands. Apollo leads Freya and Diana a few blocks. He makes several wrong turns, but eventually, they find themselves outside Joe's dive bar. "Apollo, this place is nasty," Diana says. Freya shrugs and opens the door. "I've seen worse." Joe spots them immediately, especially Freya. It's not every day that someone with her beauty and ample cleavage walks through his door. He is drawn in and cannot stop gazing. Joe is not the only one. Everybody else sets down their drinks. No furtive glances, just blatant stares. Freya settles on a stool, her breasts resting on the bar. Apollo and Diana flank her, but Joe pays minimal attention to them. "Can I get you something from the bar, sweetie?" "I would literally kill for a mead." "Kill, huh?" "Wouldn't be the first time," Freya says. "I'm not exactly sure what mead is, but I'm pretty sure we don't have it. But not to worry, I got you covered. You look like a tequila girl to me." Joe reaches above the bar and pulls down the Cuervo 1800 Gold. "Nothing but the finest for you, babe." Diana pipes up. "I wasn't aware that Cuervo was the best on the market." Joe briefly glances at Diana. "Best this joint can afford to carry." He pours for Freya and Diana. He grabs another glass and sets it down in front of Apollo. Suddenly, he remembers him. "You," Joe says. "You were with that deadbeat Coyote. I hope you listen to me. Coyote is trouble." Apollo nods. "You were right. But I must find him. I was under the impression that he frequented this location." "More than I'd care to admit," Joe grumbles. "When do you expect him?" Apollo asks. "You never know. He comes and goes. Might not come in for months, and he'll be here every night. Never can tell with that one." Freya hops in. "Do you know where we can find him? I've got a few things I'd like to discuss with him. Unless I beat him to death first." Joe cracks up. "Listen, sweet cheeks. You have to get in line. A lot of people want to see Coyote dead. What's your beef? He owe you money? He steal from you?" "It's not that simple," Freya says. "He tried to hurt someone close to me. Someone I'm here to protect." She gestures towards Apollo. "Damn! You two are together? I thought I had a shot at you." "Everybody has a shot at me. But believe me, the risk is not always worth the reward." Joe grins. "Find that hard to believe." "Believe it," Diana interjects. Joe pours a glass for Apollo and one for himself. "All right, everyone. Bottoms up." Joe slams back the tequila. The other three follow suit. Apollo and Freya cough as the liquid burns their throat. Only Diana shows no effects. "Hit us again," Diana demands. Joe pours. These aren't free shots. Someone's paying this round. Diana drops her purse on the bar. We're here to get good and drunk. I got you covered. All right then. Tell you what. I'll sell you the bottle for $125. You can drink till you've had your fill. Sound like a plan? Diana reprimands. Selling bottles is illegal in the city. You should know that. Well, you're not a cop or anything, are you? Diana sighs. Not anymore, she says beneath her breath. They drink until the early evening. All three are experiencing varying degrees of inebriation. Freya, in particular, is wobbly. Tequila is much stronger than the mead to which she is accustomed. It appears she could pass out at any moment. Joe realizes this and passes her some tap water. Hey, sweet cheeks, drink some of this. It will make you feel better. A guitar player and a drummer enter the bar. There is clearly something awry. Joe leaves to find out what it is. The conversation becomes energetic. Joe is obviously unhappy about something. The band members are apologetic, but Joe is furious. Diana waves him over. Got a problem? Joe seethes. Fucking lead singer ain't coming. They're telling me he's sick or something. This is really going to fuck up my night. Freya nudges Apollo. Why don't you sing? She asks. Joe laughs. I doubt your friend can stand up long enough to even hold a microphone. I'm sending the assholes home. Apollo shakes his head. Let me try. Joe shrugs. Ain't like I got nothing to lose, but if you suck, I'm pulling the plug right away. Got it? The band sets up like they're going to play instrumentals, as if that would be enough. Apollo approaches them cautiously and steps onto the stage. Who the hell are you? The rhythm guitarist asks. I'm Apollo. I'm your singer tonight. Like hell you are. Joe trails behind Apollo. Actually, he is your singer. If he does well, you'll still get paid. Otherwise, I can send you home penniless right now. Dave, the drummer, intercedes. We'll give it a shot. The bass player, Matt, huffs. And why would we do that? Look, I need the cash. Rent's past due. I'm counting on this. Whatever. Matt glares at Apollo. We play mostly covers. Zepp, Aerosmith, VH, toss in the occasional oldie. Think you can handle it? I don't see why not, Apollo answers. He's a little loopy from the tequila, but certainly loves being on stage. You guys have a guitar? I play. You're hammered, Matt says. I'm not letting you near my equipment. And the guitar is Steve's. Joe says, Oh, yes, you are. Fine. Matt passes Apollo a Rickenbacker. Try not to break it. You need a pick? What's a pick? Apollo asks. Matt stares at the floor. Dave grabs him by the shoulder. I need the money, he insists. Apollo is handed a set list. I hope you know some of these songs. Otherwise, it's going to be a very short show. Apollo studies the scrawling. Whole Lot of Love is the only one he knows. We may want to start with this one, he says. We don't play that until later. It's the one I know. Unless you can play Rush or Hendrix. Whole Lot of Love it is. Apollo launches into the opening of the Led Zeppelin classic. The crowd is impressed. Dave is impressed. So is Matt. Apollo's voice matches Robert Plant's note for note. The screeches and screams are, without a doubt, the best a cover band could ever hope for. Apollo's vocal range seems to have no bounds. A hearty round of applause erupts from the rapidly growing audience. After the song is over, Matt grabs the microphone. We're, auditioning a new lead singer tonight. We've never played together before, so forgive us if we have a few starts and stops. Matt reaches down and grabs the set list and tears it up. We're going to play this set from the hip. The three congregate on stage. Apollo doesn't know Love in an Elevator, but he has a firm grasp on Dream On. Steven Tyler would have been proud. They segue into a mashup of Roger Klein's Girly and The Who's Baba O'Reilly. They finish the short set with Apollo strumming an acoustic and crooning Beth, just like Peter Criss. Dave gets up from behind the drums, but Apollo is far from finished. He grabs the electric and commences with Voodoo Child, with Matt and Dave struggling to keep up. Suddenly, Matt realizes who he's playing with. When an 8.5-minute version of Voodoo wraps up, Matt pulls him aside. I know who you are. You're that guy who jumped on stage with 9 times blue. What is your name? Apollo. Like the god of music? The very same. Matt is amazed. He'd heard the rumors, of course, but nothing could have prepared him for what he witnessed. Forget that. Who he'd just backed up. Let's take a short break, Matt suggests. We'll find out what to play next. Apollo reaches for the acoustic. I'd like to play one original song if you don't mind. Then we can talk. By all means. Apollo reaches off stage and snags a bar stool. He sits alone on the stage. This song is for a very special friend. I think she knows who she is. Apollo grabs the acoustic and strums a love ballad about falling from heaven and into love. Apollo closes out the song. That's all I have thus far. Freya rushes to the stage and leaps atop it. Before she quite realizes it, she is kissing Apollo. And not a small kiss. Open mouth, passionate and hungry. This catches Apollo off guard, but only for the briefest of moments. He returns her appetite with his own. Apollo hadn't detected the slightest sexual tension between the two of them. Freya, he thought, would find him too arrogant. Or after his debacle with Pluto, too weak. But here she is, exploring his mouth with her tongue. It isn't often that he is surprised where the female of the species is concerned, but he likes being surprised pleasantly. Joe's Dive Bar is far from the quintessential place for a first kiss. Most of the patrons are ignoring the public display of affection taking place on stage. They return to their games of pool, or darts, or golden tea. Joe, however, feels slight tinges of jealousy. He was under the false impression that he was making headway with this, dare he call her, goddess. Joe looks to Diana. I thought you were with Apollo. Diana laughs. Apollo is my brother, my twin brother. Now tell me you don't see the family resemblance. Freya suddenly peels herself away from Apollo. I'm sorry, she says. Apollo is astonished. Why? He finally manages. Freya blushes. I've heard tales. You are now consorting with Venus. Her beauty exceeds that of mine. Apollo measures the two in his mind. Venus is the Roman goddess of beauty, Freya the Norse. But Freya has features in which Venus is lacking. Freya is smart and strong. She is quick-witted, but she can also be soft and tender. No, Freya, Apollo says. There is no one as desirable as you. The bass player finally arrived midway through the second set, and his licks made a difference in the overall sound. Apollo belts out a cover of U2, David Bowie, 9 Times Blue, Springsteen, and Petty. But he really won the audience over by nailing It's the End of the World as We Know It, without garbling a single word. Not bad after slamming 6 tequila shots. After the show, Matt pulls Apollo aside. I can honestly say, I've never played with anyone as good as you. Do you want to become a permanent fixture? Apollo sits on the bar stool and considers this. He is a bit distracted though. Freya is sitting on his lap and is causing some movement inside his jeans. I think so. We should ask Jackson and see what he thinks. Matt is at a loss. Jackson. Jackson Tate? Yes. I guess he's sort of my friend. He thinks I can make a lot of money. Matt goes into marketing mode. Tell him you've got a band. We're called the Cover Boys, but now we should be Delphi, Freya answers and turns her face to Apollo. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Matt agrees it sounds like a great name, but is already worried about a beautiful Yoko Ono with huge tits getting in the way.